So the one thing I insist on with my clients is scroll stopping content. And we start working out that muscle as soon as we start working together. We work it over and over again. And that's why it's hard to outsource social media when you're so green, when you're so new in entrepreneurship and you haven't fine-tuned that message muscle where it's so sharp. It is so dialed in. It's like your clients feel like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Reading my diary? Are you a mind reader?" Because that's what it's going to feel like to them. Welcome to Life After Corporate, your ultimate guide for making the leap from corporate leader to entrepreneur. I'm Deb Boulanger, entrepreneur, executive leader, and founder of the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs. This is your time to break through the glass ceiling once and for all and get your ticket to the C-suite. Come back each week to get the leading strategies, advice, and tools that will give you the skills and confidence you need to replace your corporate paycheck. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friend, and welcome to Season 2. You may have noticed a change in artwork. A lot has changed since we launched this show in 2020. A lot changed for the world, a lot changed for our company as well. When we launched the show in February of 2020, and little did we know, just a few weeks later, we would find ourselves in the midst of the first global pandemic. And it was a real special time where we relied on this medium to stay connected, to stay in community with people, to make sense of what was happening in the world around us. And many new businesses were born during that time as women left the confines of the corporate world and said, "Hey, wait a minute. I love this freedom. I love this flexibility. I'm not sure that I want to go back to the old grind and the old schedule that I used to have. I like being home with my family. I like this blended life that I'm now living." And in 2022, we saw the great breakup, as coined by McKinsey and leanin.org, when they found that 31% of employees who left their jobs during that period started their own businesses, and most of those were women. And this trend included a significant number of women, including those in senior leadership positions, who opted to pursue entrepreneurship, to start a business in coaching or consulting or another field. And the decision was often influenced by that desire for more flexibility, more freedom, more work-life balance, and the ability to create your own work environment that aligned with your values. We also saw trends in diversity, equity, and inclusion shift over the last 4 years. Well, it was the trend du jour in 2020, where a lot of people were flocking to DEI roles in companies to help more women, more people of color succeed in leadership positions. Many of those women created those diversity efforts, those wellness programs to help people avoid burnout, but they weren't getting rewarded for it. And worse, funding was pulled. And so those efforts kind of remained unfulfilled. Here we are 4 years later. And in addition, the World Economic Forum has also reported that women leaders cited a lack of appreciation for their contributions and burnout as significant factors in driving their departure from corporate roles. And this pushed women toward entrepreneurship, where they could have greater control over their working conditions and their career prospects. I always say entrepreneurship is the new feminist movement. It's how you make more money, more meaning, and more impact doing work that you actually love. But what I'm seeing now is a partial reversal of that trend that I'm calling the great boomerang, as many who left corporate have underestimated the effort that it truly takes to replace a six-figure salary working on your own. So the ramp up is real, my friends, and business ownership isn't a quick fix or a stopgap for being dissatisfied in your current role. It really is a long game. It really does take planning. It takes deliberate intention. And it also takes knowing exactly the steps to go through and the type of support you're going to need to be successful from the get-go. So right now, I believe the entrepreneurial space is going to experience a significant shakeout in 2024 and 2025. And that will impact who remains in business and who goes back to corporate. So this is a period of consolidation of those entrepreneurial initiatives. Some people just never got off the ground. They're going to close their doors. Many have been searching the job ads for quite some time. Some are getting offers coming through. And it's an opportunity to start over and start better the second time around. So it doesn't mean, if that's you, it doesn't mean that your entrepreneurial dreams are on infinite hold. It means that, wow, now use this time to better educate yourself, to better prepare for exiting corporate next time and starting a business the right way. And for those of you who don't have a choice, either because there are extenuating circumstances. I know many of my clients ended up supporting their parents who were declining during this time period, and going back to get a full-time role is not an option. We also serve clients who have been in business for 20 or more years and saw their referral streams start to dry up, and they had to start to market themselves for the very first time and do business development for the very, very first time. So we're seeing many of our clients get six-figure contracts right now as fractional leaders, as fractional advisors in companies based on their expertise. And we're also seeing coaching clients get success in launching group programs where they have one-to-many offers and they can leverage their time, they can leverage their impact by serving multiple clients at once, either in courses or coaching mastermind programs or other types of group programs. And so the possibility still exists to earn a substantial income, but you need to double down in a few key areas. And I also want to mention that there's a lot of fear and uncertainty going on in the outside world right now, and that is affecting people's decisions. And so one of the things that I think is super important that we'll be talking about in this show in this new season, probably more than we have in the past, is really mastering your inner game of knowing what to do when doubt, fear, confusion starts to emerge in your consciousness. Because it's only natural when you're creating a new future, you're on a new road, you don't have past success in this area, so it all feels new. So you have to give yourself some grace and get in the right rooms, get the right advice, put in the right framework. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about right now, is that if you're sticking through it, if you're in it for this long game, then I want you to put in place a solid framework, a solid foundation for your business on which it can grow. And you need a sales framework. So the number one definition for having a business is that you have clients, you have people paying you, right? So if you don't have clients, you don't have a business. So you need a sales framework that continually produces for you. One new client isn't the holy grail. It's a steady stream of qualified leads who become aware of you and are excited by what you offer. That's what we're going for. Otherwise, you'll find yourself hopping from one project to completion and then popping up and looking around and saying, okay, where's my next client coming from? So sustainability in business does not work by alternating between business development and service delivery. You need to have the business development engine running on repeat on autopilot while you're servicing clients as well. And your framework needs to include a message that is uniquely yours, that you can amplify through all of your channels in order to get clients. People need to discover who you are and what you stand for in order to decide to do business with you. And the last thing you want to do is be using the same rhetoric, the same talk track, the same boring words as everyone else in your category. And we work really hard on this in all of our programs to really dial in your messaging to be hard-hitting and to stand out. And you need to get in the right rooms. We need to find those affluent buyers. You can't sell to broke folk. You can't sell to companies that don't have a budget. You need to sell to companies who have money to invest, who have priorities that align with your values, that align with your value proposition. So go where the money is flowing and ensure you have a relevant solution to a very current problem. So when you launch your service offerings, it's not that they're static and they stay the same. They occupy a space and time and they don't change. Certainly, if you have something that is just basic good business sense, that is a framework that stands the test of time, absolutely. But the content, the problems that you solve with that framework need to be very, very current problems where you're bringing very current solutions to bear on your clients in that category. And as we've seen, the environment is always shifting and changing. And because of that, people's priorities shift too. So what's the new challenge that demands a new solution? Be relevant. Don't be stuck in your ways because that's the way you've always done it. So several of my clients have been in business for dozens of years, and they come to me because what they've been doing is no longer working, right? So I had a great routine, Deb. It lasted for 15 years or 12 years. And now it's no longer working. Like, I'm not getting any leads, I'm not getting any clients, and I'm going broke and I'm starting to get scared. It's just time for new strategies. It's time for them to market themselves, sometimes for the very, very first time. And it's time for them to get in front of high value prospects. And we're finding several strategies that work right now that are easy and work for members in our programs and helping them create the connections to corporate clients for six-figure contracts. On the coaching side, we are seeing consistency really pay off. It's not about a singular webinar or one live launch experience and you evaluate whether it worked or not, and it's a one or done. It's about your consistent visibility in the right channels, both in person and online. In fact, now is a great time to schedule an in-person event or a one-day conference. Most people are excited to be out and about again in person, and your in-person workshop might even get higher attendance than a virtual session that you offer over Zoom. And of course, many locations right now can support a hybrid experience where you can offer an in-person event and broadcast at the same time. So the devil is in the details, my friend. Give yourself grace. Give yourself the grace of time in preparing for these events. I'm constantly telling my clients to stop, prepare. Before you launch anything, give it the grace of time. Give yourself a launch runway. Start warming up the audience that something special is coming. Dial into your content, to the things that your event is going to provide the solutions for. Start bubbling up those problems, those challenges, and start getting the conversation going with the people who are following you. And then begin the invitation to your live event. And don't just invite people once and see who shows up. Make sure that you give them many opportunities to see your invitation and that you create many reminders and you even gamify attendance. You know, there's no shame in bribing your audience to actually show up by offering free value or prizes or giveaways for people who actually show up in the live room. For years, we gave away our ROA, our Return on Advantage necklace, to people who joined us for our 5-day masterclasses and who showed up for our all 5 days. And we would still be doing that now, except we lost our supplier. So now we're looking at more free swag for people who show up in our rooms. It kind of gamifies the whole experience. And it also holds them accountable because people left to their own devices will just default into their prior patterns. So give yourself the grace of time. This is not a last minute thing to decide to offer a webinar, a workshop, or an in-person event. There's a lot of pre-planning that you need to do to make it run like clockwork and to get the results that you want, including setting an intention for how many people you want in the room. So we're thinking about a one-day conference in New York City in early December of 2024. and we're already envisioning 50 people joining us. We're shopping around for space. We're putting together the agenda. We're looking for some super special guests. We're creating a VIP experience. And my new content marketing leader, Mallory, who is also new since the last time we recorded a show, is looking around for event spaces right now. So it's July when I am recording this episode, and we're hosting an event in December. So we've got about 5 months of planning, and we want to give people a couple of months to certainly book their calendar and make sure they can be in the city on that day. And we want to attract exactly the right people who we want to serve in that event. So be on the lookout. Follow us on LinkedIn. If you're not already following me on LinkedIn, go look for Deb Boulanger. That's DebBoulanger. I think I'm the only Deb Boulanger on LinkedIn. If you put in Deborah, you might get some other people pop up. But follow me there, drop me a message, say you love the show, love to hear from our podcast listeners, and we will get you an invite to that in-person event. It's going to be amazing to be together in person. And consistency is super important. In fact, you should be so bored with your own message that you feel like you need to change it up. And here's the thing. When you change up your message too frequently, none of your messaging pillars actually get established. They don't get an opportunity to actually land with your audience. So if you're repeating yourself over and over again, or finding yourself finding 3 or 4 different ways to convey the same concept, that's good. That's actually good. I would love for you to create a whole month's worth of content around a single theme. You will become known for that theme and become known as someone who has a solution to that particular aspect of a challenge if you're only consistent with your message. But instead, you're bopping around all over the place. And nothing disappoints me more than someone who is on LinkedIn and who only shares other people's content. It's like, who are you? Are you the biggest amplifier of everybody else's message? Where are you? And I start to wonder, well, what do you stand for? So amplify your message. This is our theme for the next 18 months. I already know it's going to be my word for 2025. So spoiler alert, amplify is the theme for 2025, and it's starting now. And if you want to look back on 2025 when you hit a substantial milestone in your business, you need to start amplifying your message now. Remember that this playing field is going to shake out. This is the great boomerang, and this is great news for you because it's great. It's a great time for you to be consistent, and your voice will stand out. You will be heard. And your clients also need to hear messages presented to them in different ways. In 2022, we ran the same 5-day masterclass on repeat for 5 different times that year, and we had record attendance at each one. But now our audience wants to hear something new. So even if you're presenting the same content, make sure you're taking time to frame it in a new way. Even former clients will come to visit you in your free presentations when you're presenting an idea in the new way. And of course, you're going to have your groupies. You're going to have the people who come to every single free event that you offer and may never buy anything. But you are still fulfilling your mission, your vision, and you're making an impact, even with the people who never buy from you. And people need a lot of exposure to your message to make a decision to buy. According to Ryan Deiss of Digital Marketer, the 7-hour rule suggests that potential customers need to spend at least 7 hours with your content before they feel comfortable making a purchase. So this exposure can come through various formats such as blog posts, videos, podcasts, webinars, your interactions on social media. And if you're not having conversations with the people who follow you on social media, you are missing out on a huge opportunity to take it off the newsfeed and into an actual conversation with a human. So when you start looking through that lens of amplification, that lens of having a conversation, have you been delivering on those connections? Have you been fulfilling the promise to your audience? Are you delivering content in multiple formats? Are you making it easy for them to discover you on video, audio, short form content, long form content? And where do your potential buyers have more connections with you? And where are those conversion events where you get to have that custom conversation? We find roundtables are very, very, very effective ways to create intimacy and drive engagement with our audience. And I've said it before, and I know it's true. You have leaks. You have leaks in your system that are costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and certainly costing you thousands of dollars every single month. So if you're not driving intimacy in your engagement with your audience and taking it off the social media feed into a conversation in the direct message feed or on Zoom, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And in order to plug those leaks, you don't need a new strategy or a new initiative. You need a reliable system of moving people through your experience loop until they get to the point of making a decision to buy or not buy. Maybe you're outsourcing social media, which I'm not a huge fan of, by the way, and I'd be happy to explain more in a conversation or in another episode on the show. And I know your hope is that by being consistent online, you would get more leads, but that hasn't been the case. And if you've invested in learning that skill or hiring that person to create your content, but you still have crickets in your pipeline, then it's because there's not enough of you in your newsfeed. There's too much process, too many quote cards, too many carousels, but not enough conversation. People want to trust you. They want to know you. They want to connect with you. They want to know that you're the person that can help them. So the one thing I insist on with my clients is scroll stopping content. And we start working out that muscle as soon as we start working together. We work it over and over again. And that's why it's hard to outsource social media when you're so green, when you're so new in entrepreneurship and you haven't fine-tuned that message muscle where it's so sharp. It is so dialed in. It's like your clients feel like, oh my God, what are you doing? Reading my diary? Are you a mind reader? Because that's what it's going to feel like to them. Another place where I think you might be overlooking opportunity is in automating your key processes with technology. I see many new entrepreneurs trying to put their systems together with bubble gum and crazy glue. And it's just not the way to go. You need to be able to automate things so that you capture opportunity in your sleep. And I know we were losing opportunities for a number of years because we had lost track of people. I wasn't great at keeping up the spreadsheet with all the conversations that we were having. And we don't let that happen any longer. So we have a CRM system that tracks the leads from all of our channels. So imagine getting people booking on your calendar as you're on the beach with your honey. Let technology work for you in automating the key processes so that you're not the bottleneck for your business. So right now we have an automated lead funnel that moves people from one phase to the next based on the action that they take with us. And we're using tools like Fathom to record conversations, to take notes, to document the key takeaways so that you can be fully present in those conversations. And you have a full set of notes so that you don't lose track of what that conversation was. Team is another. You don't want to be the bottleneck in your business, right? So, and if you're not automating your key processes, if you're not delegating the key non-core tasks in your business, then you're missing a huge opportunity. So don't touch another Canva file. There are so many talented designers online who are affordable and fast. You are wasting time on non-core tasks when you could be booking speaking engagements or creating more compelling content for your clients or your prospects. So you could be developing a podcast or a webinar or something that would be a trigger event that would drive a sales conversation, because all roads point to sales conversations. And speaking of sales conversations, please have a sales conversation framework that is proven to convert for you. We have customize those for our clients based on whether they're selling to companies or they're selling to individuals. So don't ever, ever, ever wing a sales conversation. Creating an effective conversation framework can make a huge difference in your close ratio. And with people taking longer to make decisions as they are today, and the level of uncertainty and trust that exists in the economy and on the political scene right now, you can't afford to wing your sales calls. You don't have the luxury of winging it and losing. So, to sum it up, the next year, we're going to see a shakeout in the coaching and consulting space as people go back to the confines of corporate for now, only to better prepare for a future exit. And this won't be a choice for everyone, especially women over 50. And so I know that there are fewer and fewer opportunities available to go back and get a corporate job if you're a senior leader and you're of a certain age. So let's make this work. Amplify is your theme song for the foreseeable future. You will need to amplify your voice and vary the formats and the channels where you are showing up. And by all means, master your metrics. When you automate and delegate as much as possible, you have data. You have data so you can see, oh, that lead magnet only had a 10% conversion rate. And this one over here, it has 60%. So let's put all of our money and our effort behind the lead magnet that is really landing well with the market right now. Same thing with your webinars and workshops. Don't get too precious about things. Don't get too attached to your own content or to your own voice. Automate and delegate as much as you can afford. Master those metrics. Your return on effort is so worth it. You launched a business. Let's treat it like a business, but know what to customize and have the right people on your team and know what to outsource. So, my friend, as you can expect, we are hosting a new 5-day masterclass in September of 2024 called the 6-Figure Sales System. It's where I'll be teaching these ideas in greater depth. And if you want a link to register for that, drop me a message on LinkedIn with the word sales system, and we will get you the link. And if we are open for registration when this episode airs, we will post it here too in the show notes. I want you to plan for success. You have too much riding on it to wing it. I love you. I've got you. Never struggle in the dark when I can lend you my flashlight. I appreciate you more than you know, and I am here for your long game. Let's go get it. Thanks for listening, my friend. If you enjoyed this show, please head over to iTunes and subscribe and leave us a review. And be sure to hop over to the Life After Corporate Facebook group and join other growing entrepreneurs to get weekly tips on how to create more money and meaning doing work you love.